Hey everybody, it's Liz here from Blue and Hazel, and today's video I'm going to be talking all about how to start your own nature study at home with your kids if you've never done this before. So I was probably one of the least likely people that would have started nature study and wasn't even really that interested in it initially, to be honest. So I want to share with you today kind of how we got started, what we did, what nature study looked like week to week, and what resources that we have that we actually use. All right, let's go ahead and dig in. We bought a few different things getting started. We got magnifying glass. I went ahead and purchased some binoculars for the kids. As far as the actual observation of things, we just went out to our backyard a lot. And so that's where I would encourage you to start. Don't feel like you have to go start nature study on Monday and do this big hike and then, you know, Google all the things that you don't know. Woo, we are in a big storm right now. And so, yeah, you know, just start with the plants in your yard. See if you can figure out what the tree is in your yard or the two different kinds of trees in your yard. See if you can figure out what some of the plants are that might be growing wild along the edge of your fence. Or if you have no idea what's in your yard, which was my case when we first started, go ahead and download the Seek app, S-E-E-K. It's a free app, and you can go ahead and scan anything in your yard. So different leaves, you can get different plants, different wildflowers, bugs even. We scan caterpillars when we don't know what they are, found some weird types of fungus that it will identify, and it'll get as close as it can to identifying that, sometimes all the way if you can get a really good picture. And then you can take that and go ahead and Google that and learn more about that type of thing. So you can see if it's poisonous or not, you can see if it grows wild in your area or not, you can learn just whatever questions pop into your head about it, you know, whatever your kids wonder. Which leads me to the second part of nature study that I really want to point out. Just get in a habit of asking questions. You don't need to know the answers. Just say, oh, I wonder, you know, I wonder why the leaves turn colors in the fall, or why do you think, you know, this fungus grows on this tree? Does it have to be alive? Does it have to be dead? Like, just start asking random questions that pop into your brain. Before I did nature study, I just didn't notice these things. It was not in my mind, and now I see something and I kind of am a better observer. I'm more practiced at looking at details that I never noticed before. So yeah, get the Seek app. Ask questions in front of your kids, get them thinking about it too. If you want to do nature study all on your own, just what interests you, that's fine. You can literally go to the library and look up books on butterflies, or look up books on, if your kids are interested in beetles, or if you want to get books on trees, or oak trees specifically. Like, you can go to your library and go bananas. Like, there are so many books there. But I really like having just a little bit more of a resource to pull from. And that's where exploring nature with children has been like awesome for us. And I used to use this a little more regularly than I do now. For the first 2 years, I kind of tried to go through it, you know, follow the weeks as they were doing the weeks on here. You can follow Raising Little Shoots on Instagram. That's Lynn, who's the creator of this curriculum. And you can even follow the hashtag Exploring Nature with Children and go ahead and see what other people are doing during each of the weeks. I find that fun, and I also find it a little bit intimidating. Like, oh man, everyone else is doing all this cool stuff for nature study and we're just doing nothing. And you know, don't feel like you're not doing anything and like that's not good enough. Whatever you do is good enough. Your kids are learning and having fun, and don't feel like you need all the cutesy stuff, or, you know, to make the fairy houses, or to, you know, fill the acorns and paint the faces. Like, cool if you want to do that. If you don't do that, you can still really learn a ton. So I'll just give you an idea of how exploring nature with children has kind of walked us through nature study. There's a bunch of topics, and you can skip any that you don't want to do and do the ones that interest you, or do them all, or whatever. But it kind of gives you tries to line them up with the seasons. So seeds, mini beasts, which is like bugs, harvest moon, autumnal equinox, autumn leaves, autumn pond study, autumn tree study, pumpkins, fungus, moss, lichen, weather, Christmas plants, birds, winter solstice. So that's just part of it. And then the next page here, some of those topics that you can cover: moon, winter sky, tree study, pond study. And the thing I like about this particular curriculum is seasonally it'll wrap around to some of the same things, so you can start to really notice changes. This really helps you to just remember to check back in each season. So as an example, we recently just kind of dug in with our nature group into earthworms. And so I just want to show you how I used this as a springboard, I guess you could say. I love to get every single book on this book list. I think it's super valuable. She's done a great job at giving you some book recommendations. Fun ones for little kids, informational ones for some of them are longer and a little more like, you know, you won't read them all completely, but they have great pictures, great labeling. There's just a good variety. And so I like to go through there first thing. If we do nothing else, I try to get the books. And I like to read them as read alouds. My oldest, if he's interested, will sit down by himself, but otherwise it's kind of up to me to read them from the couch. So here are some of the books we found just on earthworms. Some of these were in Exploring Nature with Children. Let me show you here. And then other ones, I went to the library website and I went ahead and just searched earthworms. That's another one there. And stuff came up and I requested it from the library and picked it up. So you can do that with any topic. The next way that I have used this, it gives like a short explanation. If you don't do anything else, it is all in here. So you can read through to your kids and they will learn about earthworms in this curriculum. But if you want, you know, I think the books do a fabulous job too. This curriculum really does grow with your kids. So you can get, you know, you can start really basic and then you can get a lot more just deep as they get older. There's also usually some kind of craft or handicraft idea in here. And then an encouragement to go on a weekly nature walk. So when I knew nothing about nature and nothing about nature study, one of the things that we had to start doing was just going on a nature walk. So for me, what that looked like was just noticing what is around us. So, okay, like we've done this walk 100 times, but now we're gonna just look and start to like look around for what we see. Like, oh, that tree is starting to get some pink buds on it. I wonder what kind of tree that is. Or, oh, wow, look at cool, there's some worms that are popping out. Or, oh, look at that fire ant hill over there. Let's go, you know, check it out, but don't get too close. You know, just like starting to really think about what do we see? So the next thing that I wanted to talk about for nature study is nature journaling. So if you're like me and you are not an artist, don't panic. I can't draw anything beyond stick figures. So for me, I'm like seeing all these beautiful journals full of watercolor and, you know, swatches of things that look exactly like how, oh my goodness, I could never do that. And it almost makes me feel like, what am I doing trying to nature journal? But that is not the point, and you don't need to have a beautiful nature journal. So you can do nature study without a nature journal, first off. That's probably more in the category I fall into. But I think it is a really good habit to start, and when we've done it, we've really enjoyed it. So the idea of it is just to go ahead and start taking one thing that you see outside and putting it into a book. You can literally put it in your book by like taping it in or drawing it out and putting it in your book, or you can, you know, try and take a pencil and draw as best you can what you see. It does not have to look just like it at all. And then going through and labeling later on what the parts are. So labeling, say you draw a mushroom, go ahead and, you know, you can draw an arrow to the gills and label it gills, or draw an arrow to the stem and write stem, you know, draw an arrow to all of the parts that you're learning about, and then just label what it is. We had a dear, amazing artistic person make this for us in our nature group. I can't believe she could do this. But look at, this is just an example of a journal entry. So kiddos were assigned to go get something that they wanted to draw. So looks like mine found this leaf. Did an amazing job drawing it. I don't think mine would look that good. And then dated it and where they found it down here. And then the type of, I'm pretty sure we found out the type was either on a sign or maybe we scanned it with our app and it told us what it is. So that's just one example. And yeah, here's my other kiddo, did the same thing. You can see they drew a little leaf and then they went ahead and we learned through some different books that we found the parts of the leaf. So the midrib right here, here's the blade on the outside, here's the stem. We've got the date and the place, and that's it. So, you know, it doesn't have to be really complicated. Here's another entry if you want to see. It's like an acorn. It's more just like getting in the habit, I think, of noticing and drawing what you see. So if you want to dive into some watercolors for your nature study, I want to show you a really amazing resource that I found that I love. So Lily Ann Thistle, she is an amazing watercolor artist who teaches online classes step by step, and you don't have to know a thing about art, because if I can do this, you can do this. If my kids can do this, you can do this. So me and then my 7 and 8 year old, at the time she was 6 when we started this and my son was 7, just started doing her tutorials, and she has a couple of free ones. The one I'll point out to you here in a minute is free, and it's a bird tutorial where you can learn to draw 12 birds and watercolor 12 birds. Or not learn to draw, sorry, trace. So I'll show you the process. It's really fun. How it works is you go ahead and print off the bird that we wanted to do. So we chose one of the birds, and just for this example, we've got a raven. So I printed it off, and then we stuck this piece of paper, it looked like this at the time with nothing on it, onto the window, and we traced a pencil or a pen. You could actually see the printed off piece of paper through this. And so we drew with our pen, trace, 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 until we have this. Then we went and opened the program from Lily Ann Thistle. We found the Raven tutorial, and they're like 10-15 minutes at most. And then all of us at the table sat down and step by step, as you know, we went the pace of the slowest person, and we learned how to fill this in with watercolor. So I found, these are our finished ones. I think they look amazing. I mean, considering I could never do this without a tutorial. So I'll show you a few more of the different ones that we've done here. This was my daughter, who was 6, 7, somewhere in there when we did this. Here was one that my son did, and this is one that I did, same tutorial, and this is the one that my daughter did. So really truly, like, if we can do this, you can do this. The next thing I wanted to show you that makes nature study more just part of life, honestly, like, I don't want nature study to be another school subject. I want it to be part of just wonder and learning about things because we want to, and you know, being amazed at God's creation that He's made. And so a few of the fun things, because we love games in our family, I'm a little obsessive now. I got Bird Bingo on Amazon, and I'll link this in the description for you guys if you want to find it. Also, one that's really fun is Bug Bingo. This is just like, the kids like it, and you learn names of really random cool animals. There's Ocean Bingo, there's Dog Bingo, Cat Bingo, like there's a bunch of different ones. Once you start encouraging your kids to like notice things, they're going to find things, and their pockets are gonna fill up like crazy. And you're gonna have no place to put this stuff, and it's gonna drive you crazy. But what we've found is that Seasonally, we just have a little shelf in our kitchen. It kind of looks a little gross. It's got all the things they find, rocks, seeds, you know, I don't know, tons of stuff. And then honestly, a lot of it starts to crumble, break, rot. That's part of what nature does. And so when that gets yucky, it gets thrown outside and new stuff from the new season that they find gets up there. It's not really that pretty. And for now, it's just on a shelf that is a little bit hard to see. But one thing we did start this year that was really cool, and I haven't labeled this yet, is we started to collect some bugs. I never thought I'd be this weird bug lady, and here I am making a bug board. So, but it's been really fun. As my kids have just found bugs, some of them have been dead, some of them have been alive when they found them, and I learned you can take a bug if you do have it alive and put it in the freezer, and it dies quite quickly. So I learned this the hard way when I had a bug in a container for over a week and it hadn't died, and I was so grossed out and feeling just bad that I was slowly killing this bug. And yeah, anyways, I learned you can just stick it in the freezer and a day later it's dead. And so what I want to do next is go ahead and maybe put a little piece of paper under here with the label of each one. That would make it actually kind of helpful. And how we learned the names of these, in case you were wondering, was the Seek app. So we went ahead and scanned each one of these that we didn't know, and it tells you exactly what it is. So from, you know, different types of bees to beetles to cicadas to the stink bug there. So that's a fun way that you can really get bugs in your area. Maybe also if you ever find like butterflies that sometimes are, I'm kind of sad I passed a beautiful butterfly on the trail that was dead and I just left it there, and I thought, oh man, there's got to be a way to figure out how to preserve a butterfly. I just didn't know what it was, so I just left it there. There's a big old blue one. A few other resources I forgot to mention. We get this watercolor paper is $5 at Target for a pad. It's one of the cheaper versions I've found than some of that nice expensive stuff on Amazon. And that's what we did, that's what we made these with, is I just cut them in half to make them last longer. And I just like it because it's thick enough to paint watercolors on, but it's not like your professional grade paper. So good for beginners, and I'm not like, don't mess that up because it's so expensive. And then we haven't actually used these very much, but I got some because I think they're cool. They're watercolor pencils. So you could actually just draw a picture like inside of your outline of whatever you want, and then take a paintbrush with water and kind of blend the colors together. It does look just like watercolor when you're done. It's just a different technique. And then these watercolors, this was kind of my special purchase. I wanted to have a set for myself that was kept nice, unlike some of the other sets we've had. And I'll show you here. It wasn't even that expensive. It was, I think, $15 or $20. But it came with a lot of paints. I got it on Amazon, and I really like this. The colors are super bold, and I like that there's a lot of shades, so I don't have to do as much color mixing if I'm using the bird tutorials or any of those nature tutorials. And then I really liked that I could go ahead and match a sample. You can see here, each of those colors has a sample. I wanna just basically encourage you to just start by going in your backyard and download that Seek app and start taking pictures and scanning it and saying, what is this? And then, you know, what does this do? Or how does this work? And, you know, reading it out loud when you're reading to your kids. A couple things to just keep in mind if you're new at nature study for safety, things that I just didn't think about initially. If you don't know what something is yet, probably best not to touch it, especially if you live in a spot where there's poison ivy or poisonous plants. In fact, that might be one of the best places to start, is just to look up some of the poisonous things or venomous things in your area. Where I live, we have a lot of poison ivy, and we also have venomous snakes to look out for. Not that I've ever seen one, but they're around here. And so just in general, it's good to really focus on a few of the safety things. Another example is, I didn't realize when we were first starting out that there were some pretty scary caterpillars out there that can leave pretty intense reactions on your skin and really hurt you. And so we were out in the woods one day and we saw the most beautiful caterpillar, which is a pretty big sign like you should watch out if it looks really beautiful. And my son went ahead and let it crawl on his hand, and then we passed it around to all of the nature group kids that were there. And then someone saw the picture that I had taken and was like, you really should watch out. Those are dangerous caterpillars. As a rule of thumb, if you don't know what it is, just don't touch it. There's been a few things that we've really enjoyed along the way that would be worth doing if this is your first year, or second or third or fourth. I hope to do these again. One of them was we went and found tadpoles, and we brought a big bucket home and learned how to take care of tadpoles. It was awesome. I have a whole blog post on it. I should make a video for you. Let me know in the comments if you want a video, because I could do that. Not yet, please. The next thing that we did that was really fun is I ordered one of those like overly expensive cups of caterpillars on Amazon. I can put the link in the description for you. And it showed up and the little baby caterpillars were crawling around, and every day they just ate what was in the cup and doubled in size. And by the end, they had formed their chrysalis, which was incredible to watch. We just so happened to be in the room when it happened, and it was like the most amazing thing ever. And I just never had seen that happen. And so then we were able to wait and wait and wait, and our butterflies came out of their chrysalises, and we were able to release them into the sky. And we learned a little bit about real nature that day, because one of them first thing just got snapped by a bird, which is real nature too. So those two things we just had such a blast doing. I would definitely recommend starting those if you're new. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up for me, and I'd love it if you would subscribe for more videos, and we will see you next time.